Okay. Oh, here we go. Why isn't it starting? Oh, there it is. So, okay.
This joint.
Oh, okay.
You doing like a live thing?
Yes, it's live.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, my fault.
Here we go. It's all good. Why isn't it? Oh, there it is. So, okay.
This joint.
Oh, okay.
You doing like a live thing?
Yes, it's live.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, my fault.
Here we go. It's all good. Why isn't it? Oh, there it is. Okay.
This joint.
Oh, okay.
You doing like a live thing?
Yes, it's live.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, my fault.
Here we go. It's all good. All right. So, the topic today was supposed to be pornography-induced erectile dysfunction. A bit ago, I had a major, not major, but it was a bit of like I got into the slipstream. You know what I mean? With my thoughts and the stream, and it was really enlightening. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that today, but there's gonna be some other things that we're gonna focus on as well. And I'm gonna make a video that's just about this. I'm gonna try and make it those 10-minute long ones. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Long story short, yes, you can have porn-induced erectile dysfunction. How it works? Well, there's a couple different ways to look at it. One thing I would suggest is to check out, I believe it's still on YouTube. It's called Your Brain on Porn by Gary Wilson. He has a presentation. It's also a book. He goes super hard into the technical biological reasons that surround porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Behaviorally, you are conditioning your body to have an orgasm a certain way, using your hand or some sort of toy, something in the environment. Now, if you do this long enough and without any other sort of stimulation, like without having quote unquote regular sex, penis and vagina, and then you will train your brain to get off a certain way. You're going to train your body to get off a certain way, to be habituated to receiving pleasure in a very specific way. Another factor is that the human vagina cannot reproduce the same sensation that a human fist can, or a fleshlight. Well, kind of, but or like a bed if you're doing something prone. So your body's also used to that. It's used to the excess friction. That's a death grip. But a human can't compete with the amount of novelty that pornography offers. Also, you just might not be as excited just having one person in front of you who's just laying there. Nothing crazy is happening to them. It's not a far out scenario. That's another way that you can do it too. And these things are all happening simultaneously. Your body, you're training your body. You're training your mind, because of the synapses that fire together, wire together. So every time when you do orgasm, it's also the things that are sending signals with what you're watching. This is how people develop what they call fetishes, but I don't think that's the right term to use. I would say obsessions. They develop obsessions with certain body types or certain genres because it's what you've been habituated to. Even now, I could take somebody and within probably a month of like heavy duty hypnosis videos and procedural like behavioral modifications, have them aroused to almost anything. Almost anything. Even something as quite far as like getting kicked in the balls could be arousing. And that's how you get off now. So that's what we've been, that's what you've been, that's what can happen. If you watch this stuff, you train yourself to get off a certain way. And especially if you're just stuck in a very specific genre and you're not really looking at anything else, then you're going to train yourself to only get off to that thing, to that idea. Everything else will seem to be less appealing. Things that you used to like, that would be the only thing. It's like, it doesn't do it for you anymore. You get tired of it. It's almost like you ran through it and there's nothing else there. So you have to move on to the next thing. This can be confounded when you do have a situation where you have opportunity to have sex and for whatever reason you cannot become erect. That is when you realize, oh, Nike's Batman, I have a problem. Now, this can happen to people when they're just watching pornography too, and that I think is like really extreme. I know that I've heard of this happening, but some people, they just don't get off. They can't get hard for porn either. They just do it. They masturbate and they come, but they're still kind of flaccid, and it's not that much. Yeah, I'm glad it didn't get to that point. That was wild. But what happened to me earlier today is I feel like there was a wave of energy that came through, and it made me really restless. And when I felt myself falling into habits of kind of wasting time, it was like I said to myself, I was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You can't do this anymore. And I was talking to myself for a while. And that's what I do. That's what I come up with how I come up with a lot of videos is I'll think of things out loud and I'll go through it as though I'm talking to somebody. And I guess I am talking to myself, I'm saying that I'm my own audience, but I'm also the speaker. And that's what I was coming to the conclusion as, that now is the time to have like these moments of opportunity, these moments of clarity where you're in it, you're locked in, you're zoned out, and then something comes up and it's like, boom, wakes you up, snaps you out of it. You have a moment to hold yourself accountable. You have a moment to we'll go down a different direction. Those things are becoming more and more frequent. And it's like, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. It doesn't matter if it's been 2 years, 3 years, 6, 10, 20. Now is the time where you have this window's opportunity for you to change the way that you are and the way that you have been. And in order to do that, you're going to have to change the way you think. You're going to have to change who you are, because the way that you've thought and the person that you've been has led you to this point. And you've made those mistakes. So there is a change. There is a fundamental change that has to happen. And that change comes with a choice. And the choice is, are you going to continue to drown in the abyss of pleasure, getting tossed around? Or are you going to suffer through? Are you going to suffer through and move towards greatness, move towards your potential? Because it's hard. And that's why people don't pick it. Because you have to suffer a lot. And especially if you do have develop some sort of addiction, or if you're really depressed because you've walked so far in the other direction. That's the one thing. And I realized today, I was thinking about, I was like, man, I would always be inclined to take shortcuts when doing things, because there was a certain level of natural ability when it came to like school, for example, or kind of like, different things like that, where I didn't have to apply myself that much. I could just kind of go by doing the bare minimum. And I was like, man, like that shit catches up with you. Because just like they said, you cheat on the test, well, you're cheating yourself out of learning that information, that knowledge, right? And I was kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking about how there's a reckoning that's come where now I have to do all these things, and had I acted differently in the past, I would be in a better position. And that's the same thing with like pornography too. It's like we've done so much restructuring, so much conditioning, so much programming of ourselves. We have to go in and systematically deprogram, and it's tedious, and it's hard work, and it's miserable, and it's painful. It's fucking uncomfortable things that you're doing, because you're walking back. You have to walk back through it. But the burden is that you know what you know now. You know what it offers. You remember all the hours of pleasure and all the times of bliss that you felt. Because they're right when they say ignorance is bliss. It is blissful, but it's at a price. The price is you have to be ignorant. That's not to say that you can find bliss without it, but when I say you're ignorant, is that in that moment when you're there, when you're zoned in, you're not thinking about anything else. You're not worried about that, and you've kind of blocked out the consequences. You block out all the bad things that are going on with your life, so you become ignorant of them, thus allowing you to fully give yourself up and become blissful. And you know that feeling, that experience. So you have to walk back, and you have to walk away from that, knowing that it exists. That's why sometimes, how they say, like, don't look in the void. It's like, because you'll be mesmerized, you'll be sucked in. And that's kind of what we've done, is we've looked down the void, we've looked into the abyss to see what it's like to really lose yourself, to give yourself up to an addiction, and play games with yourself like you're not really a divine being, and that we are these weak vessels that can fall prey to this type of programming. You are playing a game with yourself. Or look, I'll just say that I was doing that. I was doing that. And I think that I can kind of generalize it when I say that most people who are into these, who find themselves in these things, maybe that's not your intention, but that's what ends up happening. You live in a fantasy world where you must not understand what the consequences are. And that's death. Fundamentally, it's a death. Because you become redundant. You serve no purpose. You're not doing anybody any good. Even yourself. So again, I think redundant is the best word. Somebody who's sitting up and giving up all their energy, and then you get to the point where you can't even procreate. You've made yourself redundant. But here's the good news. I can tell you that you can unmake yourself. You can reverse it. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have any scars. That doesn't mean that you're going to forget about everything. No, that's your burden to carry because of the choices that were made. You got to carry that weight. But you can't reverse it. You can move back. And it takes willpower or discipline, pretty much. And everything that I want to talk about is ways for you to build up your willpower, ways for you to build up your discipline so that you can start making those baby steps that will get you going, get the snowball rolling. All I can do is talk, because ultimately I can't motivate you. I can't motivate anybody. I can get you riled up, but you have to be the one to make the change. And that's something that I had to learn too, because I was always trying to find like motivational videos and stuff, and some of it it'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But then when it came to time to make a choice, it's like, I'm just gonna do what I've always done. It's easy. It's comfortable. and you become comfortable with being depressed. You become comfortable with settling. It doesn't require energy. Then you kind of like really just hanging on like. So I wanted to get into the technical stuff. I really do. I that's what my intention was, and I think I'm gonna remake the name of this one and just do that whole the point-induced erectile dysfunction video separately, because I see when I was thinking about it earlier today, I knew that this was gonna hijack the conversation, and I know enough about myself to like don't even fight it. We just gonna roll with it. So we're gonna roll with it, and we're gonna make a different video dealing with that, because it is an important topic, and I think it is something that for a lot of people that is their wake up call. I know that was mine, although not really. It was like a soft. It was like, okay, I need to figure out how to address this specific issue, but I'm not gonna deal with what caused it. That's how my mindset was. And there are quick fixes. There are quick fixes. If you truly do want to have sex with somebody, there's ways, there's things that you can take, there's things you can do to work around it. But you want to get to the point where you don't have to do that, where it's an automatic response. And thankfully, because of the neuroplasticity of our brain, we can do that. You know, we can do that. We can work backwards. I'm about a bit of a time limit today. Been doing a lot of running around, and I've been trying to take time out to kind of like just heal myself right now as we're going into these winter months. I want to like shore up everything, so it's been like a lot of yoga, meditating, exercising, you know, push-ups, pull-ups, and just trying to not do things that I would typically do. Just bringing in new energy. And when I said earlier, like now is the time to make that change. If you want to do it, it's the opportunity. I feel like what we do in these next year or so, maybe a year and a half, that's going to dictate like the next 10 years probably. So it's important. It's high time. And it's almost like time's up. Time's up. You've been screwing around. I know I've been playing games with myself. I kept telling myself, oh man, you know what? As soon as this date or as soon as this event done, and I was like, yeah, and you know, it's cool. I can stop. As soon as I want to stop, I'll be able to stop. And I feel like a lot of people truly believe that. And you do. You can. Everyone has a potential to go cold turkey. You have that potential. But are you ready to suffer and make those sacrifices? You know, are you ready to sit through and deal with that? Because that shit that's no joke, man. It's hard. It is hard. Even today. And that's one thing another thing that I remember too is that this is going to be with you. It's going to be with you. The question is it always going to be a booming voice? Or is it going to be a subtle hum in your ear? Or if it was like, come on, let's go, let's do it again. Yeah, you're going to do it. Or is it going to be like, hey, come on. Because it's become so weak. It's so parched because you stop watering that seed of thought. You don't pay it any attention. There's no light. Your gaze, that gaze, which is the sunlight that you offer to thoughts and ideas, you've removed it. And those things, but the thing is, those things don't go away. Once you invite something like that in, it's in. It's just a matter of, is that seed going to be a mighty oak? Or is it going to be a small seed with dust and cracks in it? Because you've stopped giving it attention. Wow, man. Yeah. Time to get your motors started. Your motors of motivation. And that's what I was able to do earlier. I had like this swell of energy. Because I found myself, I was sitting down and I was like, man, I'm just going to fucking like play a game. And I did for about 10 minutes. And then I was like, yeah, what am I doing? Yeah, come on, let me get up. There's too much to be done. I can't be doing this. There's too much to be done. So then I got up. I did that. I went in the kitchen. Like I said, and the download came in. It was, I was just sorting it out. And I was thinking about, I have all this energy now. And my motors are going. I motivated myself. I was able to talk myself up. My motors were going. And I was thinking like, you got the motors of motivation. But just because you become motivated or somebody says something motivational to you that gets you energized and excited, you still have to go somewhere. Otherwise, you're just wasting your gas. You have to move. You have to have action. Motivation is like a potential force. You could be highly motivated to someone could be highly motivated to go and excuse me. Somebody could be highly motivated to find pornography and look at it and consume it for hours and hours on end. Man, I was thinking about going and dropping some more links in other videos. It's difficult sometimes because I'm kind of walking back. It's like a former crackhead having to go back around the crack house to put out flyers for like a rehab clinic. You have to be careful where you go. But there's too much to be done. There's too much potential out there. This is a time of such novelty. This is gonna be definitely in the line of time. It'd be like, ching. This time coming up, and there's too many people with that like. There's too many people of great talent and great potential that are sucked into this. Myself included. And yeah, I'm going to keep trying to keep talking, keep making these things, spreading it. And hopefully people will check it out and it'll make a difference. Because I didn't see too many things like this when I was in there. But I do remember that there was one comment that was like, what the fuck are you doing this? You're wasting your time. Something like that in one of the videos, one of the comment sections. Cause I look at the comments sometimes. It's weird. Like I'd be looking at porn, but I'd be bored. I'm just watching it. I'm bored. And I would look at the comments. And then I saw that and I was like, man, what the fuck am I doing? And then I thought to myself, I was like, who the fuck watches this stuff and then leaves a comment trashing it? But so that's why I do that. That's why I do that, because I know people read the comments, and if I can say something in there that really gets people second guessing what they're doing, then hey, I've done my job. Because then a little seed of doubt is planted that hey, maybe it's not a good idea to spend your life with a porn addiction, looking at porn all the time. Well, I didn't put a timer on this one. I didn't put any sort of warnings, and I wasn't sure what time of day I was going to do this, so I can't even be mad about the lack of viewers. It's all good though. It's all good. We're still starting off. Next one will be Thursday, and maybe if I have time, I'll put up a video in between then. Anyways, yeah, again, we're gonna change the name of it. We're gonna have a separate PIED video. I think it's an interesting topic, and it's kind of fun to talk about. because it's, I don't know. There's something about that phenomenon that's just interesting to me that could happen. It's like a spell's been cast on you. Okay, that's it. If you stayed this long, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Remember who you are. Maintain your frame. Stay congruent. Stay balanced. Bye, y'all.